Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and my co-host will be here in a second. But we are doing Top Rope Spoilers. What are we doing it for? Another pay-per-view this weekend. So, what pay-per-view? Payback. And I know it's not deep enough, but it's okay. Hi, Steve.
Didn't we use this intro last week?
No, we didn't.
Scooch. How's everyone doing tonight? Thank you, first of all, for everyone joining us here for our Top Rope Spoilers premiere for Payback. Obviously, for anyone who was watching our Instagram, we know this was supposed to be just a hair under 3 hours ago. But as you can see, our little tiny 24/7 champion decided he was going to take a nap right there. So you obviously can't do a show if you've got a baby asleep, 3 feet from you.
Or you could, but we have to be very quiet like this, and neither one of us is quiet.
Well, yeah, we're not quiet people, but also I don't think they want us making picks like this. Or do they? No. Okay.
So,
either way, thank you so much for being patient with us. We promise you, we're going to give you a good show out here and everything else. Because of the fact that this is Payback, we talked yesterday on the Ring Apron about how this is a very unique perspective of a pay-per-view because you only get 1 week to get ready for this.
Yeah, it's very short,
it's immediately
very
following one of the big 4 pay-per-views in SummerSlam, and you only, as I said, get a week to get all these matches set up. Some of them are kind of continuing storylines that are in place. Some of these are brand new matches of considered disrespect or finally some culminations on some stories that have been running for a couple of weeks or in one case a couple of months. So it's finally time to, put some foot to brass and let's see what ends up happening. But you ready to go?
I like to say fist to face.
But again, thank you so much for joining us. Before we do begin, though, we do want to, again, mention our contest that we're having for Top Rope Spoilers. As you can see, we do have the wording written up here, but we need an official logo. And so we have reached out to you guys for the last couple of weeks about having one of our followers design the Top Rope Spoilers logo. We've gotten a number of great submissions in. It's going to be really hard for us to pick with just what we have so far, but we want to get more options in. We want to get as many possibilities in here as we can to be able to choose the one that's best. Ultimately, the fan vote's going to go back out to you guys, the followers, with ultimately the winner not only getting the recognition of having their logo become our new Top Rope Spoilers logo, but also we're going to let you join us on a future episode to be able to provide us with some guest picks.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that, so keep those submissions coming. We appreciate everybody who's taken the time, and as we said yesterday on our show, if you guys want to hand draw it and scan it to us, we're fine with that. We'll have the thing in crayon for all I care. If it's the best design, we'll take it. We will take whatever comes our direction. So, by all means, however you want to get it to us, perfectly fine. There's really no limitation, again, as long as it's Instagram appropriate. That's all we ask.
Yes.
We would appreciate being able to continue this. We're having a ton of fun. But with that, let's get to our matches. We have 7 of them on the card. As always, we do go ahead and discuss the matches that are on the card at the time of the recording. So if they do add any matches tonight or tomorrow heading into Payback, then obviously we won't do them because we don't know about them, but we'll still throw a post with our picks if that happens. So we flipped a coin before. Tails for Kia ended up winning, so she's going to start us off. So, move you back into our first match, which is a rivalry match coming off of Smackdown, as we will see the newcomer Matt Riddle go one-on-one with King Corbin. Now, on SmackDown for the last several weeks, King Corbin has been putting out what he refers to as the King's Ransom because he doesn't believe that Riddle is deserving of being a part of the main roster, let alone his Kingdom of SmackDown. So he's offered up this giant financial bounty to anybody who can prove that Matt Riddle is incapable of doing so. We've had a number of people take on the challenge, such as Shorty G.
Yep.
AJ Styles has taken a shot at it. But so far, no one has been able to convince Matt Riddle that he needs to leave SmackDown. Corbin finally having enough and deciding, you know what, I'll do it myself then. If nobody wants to do it, I can handle it myself. So we're finally going to get these two going one-on-one. This right now likely is going to be the pre-show card match, but we'll see how it plays out. But Riddle has definitely shown his chops for the SmackDown run up to this point. He defeated AJ Styles when he was the Intercontinental Champion in his very first match. Only has 2 losses since he got here. King Corbin, of course, ruling with an iron fist, or so he thinks. But height, strength advantage definitely going to Corbin, but Riddle's no slouch himself.
For me, I could feel like with King Corbin, that's great. He's great and all, or so he thinks. But in my opinion, I feel like Riddle has come to the main roster, has come to SmackDown, has proven his worth, has shown what he has. And yes, he may not be wearing no shoes, but that's not the point. The point is, he's come up here.
For all you know, I'm not wearing shoes.
He's not.
Ooh.
Neither am I. He's come up to the main roster to SmackDown, and he has kind of like put some people in their place, saying, okay, just because I wear no shoes, and just because, you know, I look a certain way or I act a certain way, doesn't mean I don't belong here. So I feel like it could go to either or. Again, King Corbin has the size advantage, but that's not stopping Riddle at all. I don't think anything will stop him at all.
Well, the only thing that, you know, Riddle seems to always be very happy when he's there, and I think I might know why. But, you know, we're not judging. We're not, by all means, not judging. You do you, we'll do us. But Riddle, you know, with his previous UFC experience, but also Corbin, a former boxer, a former Golden Gloves champion. So they do each have their own experiences outside of WWE. This could be one that could honestly be one of the better card matches we see here at Payback. You won the toss, you go first. So who you got? No Sharpies there, AJ.
Bro.
It's the only thing she needs to say.
Yep.
Okay, so you got Riddle.
Yep.
Personally, you know, I think this is a very, nice segue into being able to hopefully bring this kind of storyline to an end. I've said publicly on the show that I think Corbin is one of the more wasted talents that WWE has had as a face or as a heel, because he was absolutely demolishing people in NXT.
He was.
You know, and then he's been brought to the main roster. He spent time on Raw. He spent time on SmackDown, a little time as GM. But ultimately, in the end, I really feel like they have wasted him, despite the fact that he has gotten, a Money in the Bank win. He's gotten a Andre the Giant Battle Royal win in his very first main roster match at Mania. Mm-hmm. And yet, he still doesn't have a world title. He barely has, even mid-tier titles. And now you've got him running a story with a King of the Ring championship that he won nearly a year ago and having him in storylines with Matt Riddle. Riddle's good. Riddle is going to be here for a while. But I really feel like Corbin would benefit more from winning this particular match. So I'm actually going to take King Corbin in this match. And we forgot to mention the scores when we got started, by the way. Kia was able to tie things up after TakeOver 30 last weekend. But I was able to get back a 1-point advantage after SummerSlam. So I go in with a 1-win advantage at the halfway point of the year. Long way to go, but we'll see. We move into our next match, one that was actually announced earlier today. And this one kind of culminates from the very tail end of SmackDown. A little bit of a feeling of disrespect amongst Sheamus with the partners that he ended up getting with Miz and Morrison. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people feeling that his opponent in this match, which will be Big E of the New Day, now beginning his singles run with both Kofi and Xavier not being available, feel that he's not ready for that singles run. A nice shot from Bayley, which really I think was meant more for Sasha, but more on that in a little bit. So now you get a singles match between two very strong opponents with Big E and Sheamus.
With Sheamus, guy loves to fight. I'm just going to go ahead and put it. He's Irish. Every Irish that I've talked to loves to fight, so he's not going to back down from this.
Including a certain man, right?
Yes.
We miss you, Becky.
We do. We miss you very much. Hope everything's going well. But as far as Big E's concerned, like we have stated, this is his first time. Well, not his first time, but this is his first time not really having the backing of, Xavier and Kofi being ringside for any of his matches. So I think that could play a part in him probably not performing as well as he should, but at the same time I feel like it could help him too, because he's got a lot to prove being by himself and not being part of that trio, if you get what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So and he's a big dude. These are big dudes fighting, so I feel like it could go to either or when it comes to this match. So yeah,
we'll see how it plays out. They're really trying to strengthen this Big E title run. Or just this singles run, which hopefully may lead to a title run. Social media very much on the fact that they feel that this singles run by Big E should have happened a long time ago, with or without the New Day.
Oh, I so agree.
But he has, selflessly, stayed with his team. We've mentioned on the show about how there have been zero cracks at all from the New Day, and they've now in their 6th year of existence with no signs of breaking, even during Kofi's WWE title run. We thought, okay, this is the perfect time to break them up because they're going to get greedy and they're going to want the WWE title.
I didn't see
that. They never did at any point. And the moment Kofi lost it, hey, it's right back to business. It's back to being the New Day again.
Yep.
So, love the fact that they're giving Big E this push, giving that storyline play that, we've got our consent, you've got our permission, our approval, go do your thing. You've been by our back, now we've got yours as you go be a great singles competitor. Sheamus, as you mentioned, a fighter, a multiple-time world champion. He knows how to win when the lights are on the brightest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think this is leading to something bigger. I get to pick first in this one. I am going to take Big E in the win over Sheamus.
I mean, how can you not pick either one of these, gentlemen to win? Because again, he's been doing this Sheamus has been doing this when the lights are on the brightest. But I also feel like, the whole storyline with him and Jeff Hardy, I feel like at some point it's still playing in the back of his mind, even if he's not saying nothing. So I think that will affect him in some form or fashion. Little do we know, for all we know, Jeff Hardy might come out and stand at the ramp and be a distraction to have Big E win. But for my pick, I would like to see Big E win.
So that's your pick too?
That is my pick.
Excellent. So, one pick different, one pick the same, in what were two matches that recently just got announced, like within the last 24 hours. So, there's not much story to tell other than here's two people, let them fight.
Yep.
It's kind of tough for us to try to come up with 4 to 5 minutes of preview on matches that really don't have much more than just, like I said, here's two people having fight.
Yep.
One story match that we are going to next is our first of 3 title matches that are on the card, and this one has had plenty of storyline.
Oh my gosh, it's been a back forth between Apollo Crews versus the Hurt Business, starting with what was supposed to be Bobby Lashley that put Apollo Crews out, and it just kind of keeps going and going and going with MVP wanting him to be part of it. Apollo Crews has stated himself plenty of times before, I work by myself, I work alone, I don't need no help, I don't want no help, thank you, but I will do this on my own, which has led an MVP to be very envious, very jealous, and just be very, as I said, a petulant child who's not getting his way.
Well, MVP also, of course, taking a lot of distrust and a lot of disgruntledness because of the fact that Apollo Crews currently carries around the championship that he himself designed, he himself purchased, in storyline, of course.
Yeah.
And now Apollo Crews is walking around with a championship. To be perfectly honest, I really thought this match between Crews and Bobby Lashley would have happened a long time ago, potentially at SummerSlam. So I'm actually surprised that this one didn't happen sooner than this. But you could just feel it that Bobby Lashley is going to be the one that will be the biggest obstacle in Apollo Crews' way. Crews is easily in the best run of his life, and I really am worried because he's eventually going to lose the United States Championship, whether that happens here or whether that happens in the future. And I really fear because once he does, I really am worried that he's just going to drop back to the lower tier of the roster again, and you won't see much of him again. The Hurt Business right now has been doing everything except winning championships. That was what MVP's entire concept was of why he brought in a Bobby Lashley, why he wanted Apollo Crews, why he brought in Shelton Benjamin. You look at him and you're like, the only person out of the 3 who's been winning anything legitimately has been Benjamin, and it's been the 24/7 title, which legitimately could fall to anybody. So, you look at all things considered, Apollo has been doing exactly what he said he wanted to do, and that is, I'm going to do things my way, by myself for the most part. He gets a little bit of help from Ricochet and Cedric Alexander from time to time, but this will be the toughest obstacle that's facing his way. It was ultimately an attack from Bobby Lashley that put him out in the first place when MVP claimed the United States Championship by forfeit. So you end up looking at this perspective that Crews owes him something, but also Lashley's no one to be messed with either. So this match, of course, officially for the United States Championship. You're up first. Who you got?
You already know who I'm picking. There's really no question. I'm going to go ahead, and as much as I like Lashley, and I feel like he is deserving of the title, and it should have happened a long time ago, my pick is always going to be with the Georgia boy.
Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
Taking Apollo. All right, well, this will be one where, I'm going to take a look at all perspectives here. First of all, just personal mention here. This title may arguably be kind of, becoming one of my personal favorites. When you first saw it, you're thinking like, remember when they first revealed it, people were upset about it, people were, mad about it. But then again, people thought that about the 24/7 title too.
The Intercontinental.
But, now you look at this thing, it's thick, it's heavy. Honestly, I love it. I think this is what titles need to be. A big, thick, heavy, type of metal that really kind of reflects, what the history that it comes with. But more back to the match. The Hurt Business has been a thorn in Apollo's side the entire way. Apollo has done as faced every obstacle in his path. But I do feel like at some point, especially with him running this route of he wants to do all this on his own, it's going to eventually catch up with him. You can't keep battling 1-on-2, 1-on-3 every single night and expect that you're going to be able to escape each time. MVP, as cutthroat as he is going to come in with a plan, and Lashley's no slouch himself. This is going to be one of the rare matches where Apollo Crews is actually going to be out-muscled by a fellow competitor. And you said earlier you wanted to go with your Georgia boy. Well, I got to go with my Denver boy because I am originally from Denver. I'm actually taking Bobby Lashley to win the United States Championship over Apollo Crews.
Here's what I think, and this is just me. If Apollo Crews has to team up with anyone at all, I would like to see him and Titus team up again. I feel like he's the mouthpiece for this group. Titus could be the mouthpiece for him, and maybe one other person, but he would have to be able to trust those people that he's working with. So that's the only thing I could see if he decides to team up with anyone.
I would agree with that. So, guarantee that we're going to see a fantastic match. Now, it's interesting that you bring up mouthpieces because we moved to a match with two people who definitely do not need mouthpieces at all.
Oh, my gosh, no.
A match that has manifested itself in just a single night on Raw with Raw's newest up-and-comer Keith Lee, the former NXT champion.
Limitless one.
Taking on the legend killer Randy Orton. Now, these two had a match after Orton punted WWE Champion Drew McIntyre in the head twice and then got him one more time before the night was over. So the WWE Champion unable to compete at Payback. Keith Lee more than happy to step in his place. Lee and Drew very good friends both in and out of the ring. So you look at a match like this, Lee definitely creating a legend status of his own. He, of course, was the first person ever to hold both the NXT and North American titles at the same time. Lost in a match to Karrion Kross last week, but ultimately, now moves himself to Monday Night Raw. Their match, it actually already happened once last week on Monday Night Raw, but it was interrupted by Retribution. So we'll see if Retribution stays out of it when they get this rematch going. Everyone knows what Keith Lee brings to the table, but you're also facing a 13-time world champion as well.
And like we've stated, and we're going to state it again, Randy Orton to me is in the best shape physically, mentally, verbally, emotionally. I feel like there's nothing that's going to stop him except for maybe Keith Lee.
Well, Lee has proven, they put him up against all the big guns that WWE and NXT have to offer, and with the lone exception, honestly, of Karrion Kross, he's faced and taken down all challengers.
Everybody,
he has not gone out and been embarrassed by anybody. And he's proven that he can step up to the plate against anybody. And just because it's his first night, he wasn't going to wait around. He went ahead and went to the biggest dog in the yard and, that one of the biggest guns that Raw has to offer and said, hey, let's go. I'm here. I'm who I am. Greetings and salutations. Let's go to work. So Keith Lee not going to mess around here on Monday Night Raw, nor should they. This has been a main roster call-up that they showed at Survivor Series almost a year ago. He's more than ready for, so...
He's gotten... But at the same time, when he was in NXT, he got the respect of everybody in the main roster for, being a big guy who's doing big things. I mean, NXT, in my opinion, I feel like ran the show with it just being the gold and black brand. They've been running it. Well,
NXT, proved it at Survivor Series. Exactly that, they went out and not just competed well, they won Survivor Series.
Yeah, they
did. We've got that, of course, coming up here in a couple of months. Right now they're hoping that might be the first event that brings live fans back in. We'll be front and center if that happens. Masks on, of course. Masks on, sanitizers, gloves, whatever we got to do to get ourselves in the door. I get to go first on this one, and, this one was a tough one for me to really kind of wrap my brain around because, to me, with the great run they've been doing with Randy Orton, granted coming up just a hair short of winning the title, but his story with McIntyre is not done yet. But then you have someone like Keith Lee, who of course is coming off his NXT title loss, but certainly did not look like a slouch in any way. This was not one where he, made a mistake and Karrion took advantage. This is one Karrion just flat out beat him, and sometimes you just got to tip your hat and go, and I don't think Keith took that in bad stride. But the question is, are you prepared to take a person like Keith Lee and give him that first really big win so early over a guy that has had this humongous run over this last couple of weeks, or is it too soon to give him that? Here is my official pick. I am actually going to go with Randy Orton to win this match but I'm going with him winning by disqualification because I don't think Drew McIntyre is going to be able to keep his nose out of this one.
Oh, I don't think so either.
So ultimately, I do think the match is going to end with a DQ, with McIntyre coming out attacking Orton, which means on paper Orton gets the win, even though Keith may be the one who ultimately walks away looking like the winner in the end.
That's a hard follow-up, but like I said, Keith Lee, when the lights are on the brightest for him, he gets it done. It doesn't matter what pay-per-view, and the fact that he got it done at Survivor Series and got the respect of everybody, and as far as the crowd and the people he was competing against, I thought that to me just said a lot for him. But again, Randy Orton has been doing this for 13, 14 years. I actually came in. He was one of the people that I started watching Cena and Randy Orton and Edge and a couple of others. As much as I love Randy Orton, I really do. I feel like Keith Lee still has something to prove with the fact that the way he lost his title to Karrion Kross, I feel like he still has some things in the back of his mind playing. So I feel like he's going to be thinking about that. And in my mind, I feel like he could see Randy Orton as a Karrion Kross and still, go for the throat. Because we've seen my brother kind of lose his religion a little bit. He's been mad. And it's just like you've pissed off.
Give me a time and a place.
I will whoop that. So my pick, and as much
go bass on the end of that.
As much as I love Randy Orton.
You're going with Keith.
Yeah. Keith. That works.
And again, my pick is not so much, a pick against Keith Lee, more along the lines that I just don't think Drew's going to be able to stay out of this. I don't picture this match ending cleanly. Because I think you're doing one of them a disservice by having one of them lose by either pinfall or submission. I just can't picture this match ending cleanly, and I seem it more likely that Orton will get attacked by Drew more than someone coming out and attacking Keith, unless, it's retribution, But, right now they're about as unpredictable as you can imagine.
Yeah.
We move into our next match, which is keeping us on Monday Night Raw. And this is the tag team match that we've been waiting on for a couple of months now. We've had singles matches. We've had some combinations between the two, some handicap matches. But finally, the matchup between the Monday Night Messiahs group and the Mysterio family finally comes to a head, as you've got the Monday Night Messiah Seth Rollins teaming with his disciple Murphy against the Mysterio family of Ray and Dominik. Dominik making his official debut last week at SummerSlam, and he did not disappoint.
He looked awesome, and to steal a misquote, he looked awesome. Like, you can tell he's been putting in the time and the work and the effort, and it showed in that match.
Exactly. And that's something that, if you're going to live up to the Mysterio name, that is not going to be a tough, an easy path for him to be able to follow, because, the name Rey Mysterio is legendary among Lucha. He goes up with, several other names. Alberto Del Rio was huge in the Lucha, despite what you may feel personally about the man. He was legend in, the Lucha Foundation, and the Mysterio name goes along with that. So, to have to be the son of him, but Dominik also not donning the mask, not donning, that quite yet, because he wants to be able to step into the limelight and say, yes, I am a Mysterio, but watch me also do this on my own as well. I'm not just going to follow my father's coattails. Now, flip side of that coin, you've got Seth Rollins, who has, ever since WrestleMania, even a little bit before, has said, Monday Night Raw is going to be run by me.
Yeah.
I need people to get in line. This is for the future of the business. Well, the reality is the future of the business showed up without him, and has stepped in his way has been in his way every step. So Rollins now almost to the final point where he's going to have an opportunity to get both Mysterios in the ring at the same time. Let's see what he can be able to do. And then, of course, you've got Murphy sitting there as the disciple to Rollins, who now seems like he's more vindictive than ever since putting Alistair's eye out. And now we've seen what that's done to him with his heel turn on Owens earlier this week.
Yeah.
Before we get to our picks, just what a moment I've got to say from a man like Rey Mysterio, who knows his best years are behind him. His best years probably already are behind him. But yet, getting to enter a storyline where he is now going to get to be in an official match with his son, Dominik, who we've seen since he was real little, being in, matches for his guardianship with Eddie Guerrero, God rest. What a moment this has to be for Ray. This would be like me, playing baseball and then getting to be on a team with Landon or with Cassius. That's just a moment that you dream of, but very few people get it. So that's got to be a great moment going into this, whether they win or not.
Yeah. I feel like, honestly, either team could win or either team could lose. It's been really hard because you have to understand Seth is always got a game plan. He's always thinking. I wonder when it's time for him, the lights to go off and him to go to bed, does he stop thinking, or is he thinking about it in his sleep when he's dreaming? How is he going to defeat whoever he goes up against? And then on top of that, to have a loyal disciple who helps with everything that you need and is also willing to talk you down when it gets to be too much for you. Now, Ray has been one of my favorites. I even told you, when we first started watching, I've always been an underdog in reality in my life, so I always pulled for the underdogs, and I always pulled for Ray. And again, like you stated, his son, I've watching with you and having you explain everything to me, and I'm just sitting here thinking, oh, he's so cute, and now seeing the man that Dominik is, and he's fighting, and he looks good, and it's like, he is meant to be here. He is meant to follow the Mysterio name, but he's doing it a little differently with the assist from his old man. So I view it as this is an emotional factor. Technically this is too, but more so because you're fighting son and father. You're fighting disciple and Messiah. So who's going to win?
Well, you're up first, so you tell us. Who's got it?
I love Seth and I love Buddy Murphy, but at the same time, my heart goes out to the Mysterio family, so I feel like they are going to find a way to pull the win out. I'm just saying, after what I saw from Dominik at SummerSlam, there's no way he cannot win this one.
So you've got Ray and Dominik winning this one.
Yeah.
Okay. I will be making my pick because, honestly, I'm with you. I could see this one going either way. Seth getting the win over Dominik at SummerSlam, which I thought I picked it and I said should happen. But, this has all the makings of, the family finally getting in. Now, this will be Ray's first official match since returning from his eye injury from back at Extreme Rules. We're going to see how well he can be able to go, considering it's only 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. His son Dominik has proven that he is capable of being able to handle the spotlight when it's there, but also extremely green, extremely, still very new to this against two very established veterans, including a multiple-time world champion.
But, he's green. He's green by, he's wet behind the ears, but you have someone who's been here. Your father has been here, done this, and has, won a couple of titles, and, can give you the assist that you need when you, kind of get lost.
Well, my pick is going to come not from statistics or analytics or anything else. It's going to come straight from my heart. I want you to think back, and we're going to share something with you here. This one's going to get maybe a little emotional, but you started watching right around the time of WrestleMania 22, going all the way back to Chicago. You're going back almost 14, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I remember the winner of the World Heavyweight title match in a triple threat was a much younger Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
And I remember our Landon, who is now 14, almost 15 years old, who was less than a year old, getting handed a little tiny lucha mask and a little tiny World Heavyweight title. They were still made out of foam at the time, and I remember having to trim it, cut pieces off the back of the belt so it would fit, and it was still too big, so we cut a little more, and it was still too big. And finally, I cut it literally down to the nubs before it would finally be able to fit around his little 6-month-old waist.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember back to that picture, and it was one of the very first pictures where I said, this is going to be something that's huge. So the Mysterio family has always been something that has been near to us since we became parents. So, this one I'm going to pick from the heart instead of from the, from the statistics. I will also go with the Mysterio family. I think it's the right moment for them to get that win as father and son. I like Ray and Dominik to win this match.
But after everything that they've been through with these two, it's time for a little payback, and I can see it happening.
She said it. Hey, hashtag it. So, with that, we get us down to our final 2 matches. Our penultimate match here is one that was the very first match that was announced. This very well could main event, but somehow I don't think it's going to, considering what's actually set up, what's left after this one. This one is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And it's going to end up being the besties against 2 not-so-besties.
They just absolutely hate each other.
They are not fans of each other at all. This, of course, being the Women's Tag Team title match featuring the current champions, that is Sasha Banks, and the Smackdown Women's Champion, Bayley, teaming up against the not-so-friendly team of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
So you remember like early on in your pick when you said that the New Day is showing no cracks, no breaking apart, no falling down, everybody's supporting.
Flipping to the polar opposite.
These two ladies, in reality and in storyline, are best friends. They are like the ride or die for each other. But along the way, you've kind of started seeing each one throw each other under the bus anytime they can. And I don't think they were doing it on purpose. I think they were doing it as, oh, I know she's got this. That's my best friend. Da-da-da-da-da. But
there was a long time where it worked.
And it's getting to the point where now you're kind of starting to see, it's not like seeing the cracks, you're starting to see the physical cracks and how everything played out. And you could kind of tell before SummerSlam how everything played out when Naomi beat Bayley and you saw the look on Sasha's face, or I did. I can't speak for everybody else. But now you're looking at it from the fact that, this past Friday, Bayley has taken shot after shot after shot. And in her mind, I guess it's just a joke, but you could tell. And if Sasha's anything like me, it affected me, and I'm not even holding the tag team titles for these women.
Well, this, of course, is referencing the fact that at SummerSlam this last week, Asuka was not able to beat Bayley for her Smackdown title, but was successful in defeating Sasha for the Raw Women's title. So Sasha, 2 belts, or whatever it was, 2 belts Banks, now not a thing anymore, and now her second title is now going to be on the line. But the shots that Bayley kind of threw at her on SmackDown, although she didn't directly point it towards her, being, some people are only built for tag team titles, which was supposed to be a shot at Big E, but Sasha, you definitely could tell by the faces, did not take that comment very well at hand. It's clear the cracks are there. Sasha has just about had enough, but this is really one where you saw on SmackDown Shayna and Nia get on the screen, and Sasha kind of went back to boss mode because she's not going to be disrespected. And even if that means she's not necessarily on the greatest terms with Bayley right now, she's certainly not going to be intimidated or going to be spoken down to by Shayna and by Nia, 2 people that she has faced and beaten before.
Yeah, you said she went back into boss mode. I definitely agree. She's legit. She is her own boss in her own right. But at the same time, you're talking about she's not going to be disrespected by these 2. Well, you've kind of been disrespected by your own partner, not trying to stir the paint, not trying to throw shade, but your own partner's kind of disrespecting you. How do you take that?
Well, you look at also their team right there. I mean, Nia and Shayna have been at each other's throats for the last several weeks. Nia getting suspended in storyline for a little while. And essentially, this partnership is really along the lines of Shayna saying, look, we do this, and you leave me the hell alone after this. I'll team with you. We'll win the tag team titles only because I really just want to stick it to Bayley and to Sasha. But then after that, I really don't want anything to do with you. You leave me the hell alone after this, and fine, I'll team with you, and we'll go dominate the tag team division. And can you imagine if you're sitting there trying, if you're a team, let's say like a Tegan Nox and a Shotzi Blackheart, or your, Iconics or whomever, and all of a sudden the tag team champs are now Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. That is a formidable front that these 2 could be ones that, as long as they can find a way to get along, if they win the titles, they may not lose them for a long time.
Well, when you say they win the titles, and Shayna did make it pretty clear, we win these titles, the only time we talk to each other is the matches that we have to fight. I love the smack at the end between the both of them. Smack from each side and saying, okay, now we've got that out the way, now let's go win these titles.
Exactly. So, we move to our official picks on this match. I've got to, really, it's going to come down to how ready and how physically and mentally ready is Sasha Banks. She didn't take her loss to Asuka very well,
no.
Because earlier the night she took a bullet for Bayley, which ultimately helped Bayley be able to retain, but Bayley seemingly not willing to return the favor.
And you could see in the cracks that are coming apart.
Right, so now they're holding the tag team gold and now have to find a way to get along. Of course, we all know where this is hopefully eventually heading, but of course the idea of them being able to appear on any show, and they have more than done so and have shown those tag team titles proud. At the same time, they lose that privilege if they lose this match. At that point, they now are both forced to go back to SmackDown and have to stay there, with now holding, at one point a week ago, they had 4 titles, and then they'd be going back with only one.
And it's not really them, it's Bayley.
Right, it would just be Bayley holding a title. Sasha would not have anything at that point. And then, of course, on the flip side, Nia and Shayna have proven that they are a very combustible team. They both are very strong, very able to dominate opponents each in their own right. They've both dominated in the ring. They've both dominated underground since Raw started that up. The question is, can they get along for 10 to 15 minutes to be able to conquer a team that so far has found a way to be untouchable with those tag team titles since they've been able to get them. If there was ever a team that just on paper can dominate a team like the Golden Role Models, this is that team.
I think, honestly, you have the cracks showing here, but they don't like each other here, but they're all willing to work together. How I view it, and I've had time to think about it, I could see each member from each team walking out having one member having to defend to win those tag titles.
Potentially turning it into a singles match.
Match,
how interesting that would be, because you could see potentially any team from either side being able to walk out to the point to where this may ultimately end up turning into a 2-on-1 or maybe just a 1-on-1 match. So the question is, which team cracks? I get to go first on this one. And honestly, I mean, the biggest storyline people that WWE has had in the last 6 months has been Bayley and Sasha. They have had nights where they have completely been the reason why people are turning on their TVs. And that's not just on SmackDown, that's on Raw, that's on NXT. They've run the gambit. Sasha even recently calling out Kaylee Ray now that the UK brand is getting ready to stop. So maybe they end up in Cardiff in a couple of weeks. You know, you never know, because I could see Sasha, you know, goading Kaylee Ray into a match for her UK title, so that may very well happen. You know, they've been the biggest push, they've been the biggest run, and out of all the teams they faced Alexa and Nikki, they faced the Iconics, they faced, you know, so many of these other teams for these tag team titles. I can't picture this team being able to stay cohesive and not be combustible long enough to be able to do it. The cracks are worse here than they are for people who have proven they can be friends, even if not trustworthy at times. I do think that the Golden Role Models will find a way. I like Sasha and Bayley to retain the tag titles.
I can't say I agree with you. Again, I could see it, and I was speaking to someone earlier, if you actually, like I said, have someone on each team walk out, I could see, honestly, Sasha, with everything that's going on, I could see her mindset saying, I'm tired of being disrespected. I'm not going to be disrespected by either one of you. But at the same time, now I'm not going to be disrespected by you, even if you are my best friend. So you know what? You think you're all that? You have it handled? That's where the cracks lie with that, because she's been running her mouth a lot, Bayley. Now, this team, you know, they run their mouth too, but they're honest. I don't like you. You don't like me. Let's go win these titles. Let's get it done. I am going to pull for the exact opposite. Nothing against Sasha. But I know both of these women are strong, and plus I'd like to see a title back on both of them. They each have had a respective title. I'd like to see it again, even if it is the women's tag titles.
Do you think that they're going to be able to stay together long enough? Because remember, it's not like it's the first team we've seen where, you know, two people who can't get along all of a sudden can't win titles. Remember that, you know, you look at a team like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, they weren't exactly best buds going into it, but found a way to be cohesive, and then they ended up being one of the better teams we saw.
But here's the thing. I feel like Shayna, she had to leave ringside when her and Asuka were fighting, but also she left long enough, did what she had to do, and then she came back and she continued to fight. I think if she's going to leave, I think the same thing's going to happen.
Okay, so, hey, a lot of different picks here, so you know, definitely going to be some changes in the scoreboard here, so I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you know, we want to get your opinion for each of these matches. You know, are we getting them right? Are we getting them wrong? You know, of course, we'll find out in, you know, a little under 24 hours, but you know, we'll see how it plays out. But with that, we do move into what we feel will be the main event.
Woo!
And they have found a way in 1 week to turn this into the biggest story that everyone is talking about, and that is a triple threat match for the Universal Championship from SmackDown. First of all, the last pay-per-view outside of SummerSlam to have the Universal title be the main event, it's been a while since it hasn't been a Raw main event for quite some time. So, you know, good job by SmackDown putting out the story. We have, of course, you know, we had a title change at SummerSlam with the Fiend successfully winning the championship off of his former family member, Braun Strowman, only to have the return of the big dog, Roman Reigns, to come back to not only reclaim the title he never lost, but also to get the title match at Mania that he had to give up in order to protect himself and his family. So it leads to a, make sure I get it right here, triple threat, no holds barred match with Universal Champion The Fiend, of course, no champion's advantage in a triple threat, defending against former champ Braun Strowman, and the addition of now the Paul Heyman-infused Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. What a match and what star power you've got going into this one.
all three men. I really do. There really is no love lost. There is no hate against any one of them. I can't really say I show bias, but I've gotten to meet Roman, very sweet guy. But this role that he's playing,
You liked his hair.
I liked everything about him, along with a bunch of other people. I'm not going to name no names. Point is,
Stephanie.
Grandma Sue,
Absolutely.
Monet,
My mother loves
Alicia.
some Roman Reigns. Everyone loves Roman Reigns.
Who doesn't? The point is, you've got three big behemoth men, tall, willing to fight, willing to willing to grind. You know, we might see some high flying, some ground and pound. And yes, don't think that we, you know, just because this is what it is, we haven't seen Roman fly through the air once or twice. He may not do it often, but, you know, it is what it is. But at the same time, mind tricks could come into play as well. Or, here's how I view it. Roman now has Paul Heyman, who is the mouthpiece, but, you know, at the same time, these two may say, oh, hell no. He ain't gonna just come into this title picture and take this title off you. I feel like that will force them to have to work together as family, even for a few minutes, to say, this ain't gonna work. Or, you know, seeing one of these two lay down for the other to win the title, only to have another match later where it's just them. But I can't really say, because there's three different people and it can go three different ways.
I think there's too much bad blood between Wyatt and Strowman at this point for that to be just a lay down so we get out of this. I don't think either one of them on a personal standpoint, let alone together, consider Roman that much of a threat. But let's go through some facts here. Roman, first of all, it was very public knowledge that he was not only going to be in the Universal title match going back a couple of months ago at WrestleMania, very public knowledge he was going to win that match over Goldberg. It was Braun Strowman that ultimately ended up reaping the benefit of Roman making the personal choice to go home to save himself and to save his family when this COVID thing was still going on. And a choice that, due to everything he's gone through, I don't think a single person up here was mad about it. I think everyone said, go home, handle your business, do what you need to do. You come back when it's safe. You come back when you're ready. And you know what? He decided SummerSlam was the moment that he was ready to come back and wreck everything and then leave.
Surprise, surprise.
You know, and he does so, you know, in the perfect of fashions. You know, you get the title change that everybody wanted, which was the Fiend getting back the Universal Championship, Wyatt's third world title, only to have Roman come out and lay out both the Fiend and Strowman back-to-back because he wants the title match at Mania he had to give up, as well as the Universal title that he still never lost. And now you're actually also, as a storyline, getting this amazing play on Roman Reigns. How long has the WWE Universe wanted Roman Reigns to go full heel? You know, he was a heel when he was with the Shield, but it's very different. They've been wanting him to go heel. They're tired of him being jammed down our throat. Well, now he's going to be jammed down our throat, but it's going to be in a different manner, and it's going to be in the heel role that everybody wants him to be. He's going to come in. He's going to lay folks out. He's not going to work by the hour. He's going to come in, and he's just going to destroy everybody, and that's kind of his mindset without having to worry about the paperwork or the antics or having to be on the mic or having to, you know, be friendly, because that's what Paul Heyman's for.
Yeah.
You know, Heyman does that the best. I already said I wanted him to give the eulogy at my funeral one day, barring he's still alive, of course. But, you know, Roman, you couldn't have asked for a bigger return, and then he gets the title match just 1 week. It took one attack after a match for him to already get himself into a Universal Championship match. This is one that just, I mean, the Vegas odds and the universe, I mean, is fully split 3 different ways on this particular one because, of course, you know, you just had the great 24 story with Braun Strowman, news coming out that he had been contemplating suicide for, you know, a couple of times before Vince really was able to talk to him and really get his mind right. So a lot of people have gotten behind Strowman in the last several weeks, you know, both as a fan base as well as in a competitive sense, despite the fact that he kind of went into this mean SOB in the world kind of push. So, you know, I really am having a hard time putting myself on this one. So, you know, everything being taken into consideration, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, especially with that no-holds-barred stipulation, which means we got to have a winner.
Yeah.
You're up first. Main event. Who you got? Who's walking out Universal Champ?
I'm sorry that, you know, everything happened the way it did for Roman, but again, I agree. Go home, be safe, stay with your wife, do what you need to do for your family, come back.
5 kids. We have 2. I don't want 5.
We have 5 kids, but they live within those 2 kids. Point is, he came back, did what he had to do.
Just 2.5 kids. I love it.
He never lost that title, but it also gave, like you said, it gave Strowman a chance to have an opportunity that he didn't have or he wouldn't have had. it's hard. This one's very hard because I like all of the guys in this match. If I had to pick a person,
And yes, you do.
I don't want it to be where like the Fiend is a placeholder. He's not a joke for a person. I don't want to see him being made for a joke. I feel like he deserves a long title reign. But I also feel like Braun deserves it too, as well as Roman. But I'm going to have to stick with the Fiend retaining.
Okay, so the Fiend takes advantage of all the chaos and finds a way to get it done.
Ours for retain. But.
Gotcha, okay. It's very public knowledge for anybody who watches our show. I love the Fiend. I love what they've done with him. He's been my best cosplay up to this point. No disrespect to any of the others I've done, but my Fiend cosplay has been head and shoulders above everything else. I remember getting the Universal title at SummerSlam, at Survivor Series last year, sported it at Starrcade, and it was one of the more popular ones. I had a line 25, 30 people long, because they wanted to take pictures. They knew I wasn't Bray, but, it was a surreal moment because even for just a small split second, I kind of got an idea of what it's like to be a WWE superstar.
Yes, I went to the bathroom all of like 2-3 minutes, and I come out and he's got like 40 people deep asking to take pictures.
Right, and I'm not used to that kind of adulation. We weren't doing the show yet at the time, but, I'm not used to that kind of, people wanting to, have that much coordination with me. So the Fiend has really stuck with me, and I've really been able to get behind his character. Braun has, had people fall in love with him over the last several weeks. But at the end of the day, you look at someone like a Roman Reigns who left WWE for 4 or 5 months for the right reasons, Other people went to work, and that's not to say Roman's not the only one that did it. Carmella left for a little while. Sami Zayn left for a little while. But at the end, you've got to look at all things considered, and I don't think you can have Roman Reigns on a single week be able to come back and just immediately make him Universal Champion. And also, if that's the case, why put the title on the Fiend? Why have the title change happen? We're going to have to wrap this up because you can clearly hear we got someone mad at us. So, with that being said, I am going to agree with you. I do think the Fiend is going to find a way through this chaos to find a way to retain. I think it could very well be a situation where Roman does all the work and then the Fiend just throws him out and gets the pin. Right place, right time. But, hey, that wraps up Top Rope Spoilers. Our little sleeping giant has finally had enough of us without Mommy here. So, time to wrap things up. But, hey, enjoy Payback tomorrow. And, let's see how many we get right. So, Kia, take us home.
Okay, like I've done for the last couple of pay-per-views, I have asked for each and every one of you to pick a match of your choosing and let us know, or let me know, which one you want to see me do a reaction on. Whatever one gets the most votes will get the reaction, and it will be on Instagram, IGTV. With that being said, we're going to let you go. I've got to go do my motherly duties. Love you guys. Good night. Bye.